Gamers. This is Simply Travis and Rowdy 5000 for the Lamer Gamers podcast. I forgot to let Rowdy say his name. But anyway, it's live on this the YouTube. So sorry about that. Okay. This is our first one to record, by the way, with video. So if you are listening on the podcast, you can see our lovely faces on Lamer Gamers podcast YouTube. Okay. In today's episode, we're going to talk about the 10 games to escape the world with, because right now everybody needs a little bit of escapism with all the craziness going on with the coronavirus pandemic. I think it's going to be a good show. What do you think, Rowdy?
I think it's going to be sick.
We can't make those jokes, Rowdy. I know you work in an ER and you have like a twisted sense of humor, but we can't make those kind of jokes.
Yeah, that's my bad. I just really want this podcast to go viral.
No! No! You can't do that! All right, before Rowdy makes any more inappropriate jokes about this episode, if you like the stuff we do here on the show, make sure to check out @LamerGamersCast on Twitter, www.lamergamers.com/subscribe, and throw a review down on Apple Podcast or Podchaser. Now, we're going to get started with our first show where we are extremely socially distanced on the opposite sides of the rivers in the steamy swamps of Southeast Texas right after this lovely musical interlude.
We're not supposed to do breaks because we're doing a video.
Do breaks because it's video. All right. Forgot about that. Okay, there might be some musical interludes if you're on the podcast now, but since you're here with us, let's go ahead and get started. So we have come up with a list of our, I guess, top 5 games or a series, actually, that are good to kind of just forget about what's going on. So I've done a whole bunch of talking right off the bat. Rowdy, do you want to start with your first one first, or do you want me to jump into mine?
All right, man. So I think I'm going to do mine a little out of order than what I have listed on here, but I want to start with one of my oldest favorite games ever, Super Mario World for the Super Nintendo.
That's such a good choice.
So do you remember playing like let's say Mario 3, and then you go from NES to Super Nintendo, and then just how big and how much of a difference Super Mario World was. I mean, it was huge. Like, what was it? There was 8 realms or whatever, or different worlds, but then there was the Star Worlds. There was all kinds of secrets. Like, this is the first time I'd ever seen an adventure game where you could take different paths along stuff because
that is true.
You find the secrets. Like, and it lasts so long. So, I mean, you could probably beat it in a day, but it'll definitely last you a while.
Well, one thing I did like about it too was the, I guess, verticality of some levels, and you would kind of drop down, and you had to break things as you go through. You remember hitting the fencing, and you'd like flip to the other side.
Oh yeah.
You had to punch the turtles on the other side because that's always fun.
Punch them right in the stomach.
Yeah. Another thing. Okay, so one thing I do miss about those games that really doesn't connect to this whole escaping from the world thing is they had some really good manuals that came with those games, like with good art made specifically for the manuals and how to do like I remember the flying difference from Mario 3, like you said, to Super Mario was such a big difference because the flying was just like you did the little the tail, right?
You tap the jump button a bunch.
Yeah. Whereas this game you had to like do a boom, ba-boom, ba-boom, and hop through.
Yeah, you had to time it just right.
Yeah. That's what I really thought was cool. The cape and there's such a big difference between the 8-bit art style and the 16-bit art style. You could actually see the line work on Mario. You could see more than... I mean, granted, don't get me wrong. The difference between the original Mario Brothers and Mario Brothers 3 is almost night and day as far as the graphics go, because I don't know how they got all that power out of the original Nintendo, but the Super Nintendo just brought it up to a whole new level as far as the art style goes with it.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy how, like you said, like from NES, like from the beginning. Well, I mean, Mario 3 also did come out, God, was it 8 years after the first one, technically? Because the first one released in 83, 82. I'm lying probably.
Probably.
But yeah, it was a good bit of difference, but it was still just that 8-bit. And then going from NES to Super Nintendo, it was a ridiculous jump, man. I loved it. Super Nintendo is still one of my favorite systems of all time, but that game right there, definitely one to go back to if you haven't played in a while.
Oh yeah, and the worlds are so drastically different too. I mean, they really were on Super Mario 3 too, but they had just this extra little punch. Now, I really liked Yoshi's Island little bit. Man, I don't know if I liked it a little bit better. I'm afraid people will get angry if I say that.
Well, that was another huge difference in graphics right there, and that's still on the same system.
Yeah, actually.
A funny joke. The first game that I'm
played... a little concerned about you making funny jokes right now after that intro, to be honest, Rowdy.
No. The first game of the decade that I played was Yoshi's Island. I'm sorry, Super Mario World 2 Yoshi's Island. Because I literally just started up and played the first level so that I could look at my wife and go, look, it's the original Death Stranding.
Yeah, it's true.
That's literally the only reason I started it.
That's an epic joke. You're probably the only person that made that joke this century too. Like right at this beginning. I mean, that joke's probably been done somewhere, but you claim the century.
Oh, dude,
making a Yoshi's Island joke.
You need to see. There's a YouTube video of where somebody animated the story for Death Stranding using Yoshi's Island stuff. Like Mario is in Yoshi's little bridge baby thing, and a shy guy plays the bad guy. It's hilarious, man. I forget who did it, but you can probably find it just by typing in like Death Stranding Yoshi animation or something like that. It's really funny, man.
Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and hop into mine, and I'm not going to do mine in order too, because I kind of don't want to go from. I want to stick with this 16-bit vibe, right here. So my choice is Stardew Valley or Harvest Moon-esque games. Honestly, you can get lost in Stardew Valley forever. It is a life simulator, and it's a life simulator that is, I guess, a little bit back in time. And the whole story of the game is you're trying to avoid like working in your 9-to-5 job in a cubicle every day. The beginning of Stardew Valley is kind of grim. Do you remember the beginning of that game?
Yeah, like your grandfather dies, and then or your dad dies, and then you get the letter. Dies. Yeah, somebody dies, and then you get a letter while you're at work.
Come on down to the farm.
And then but he like hates work anyways.
Yeah. So, and there's, it's you have like okay. I don't really care for like the dating sim stuff of those type of games. Can you find a wife in that game like Harvest Moon you could?
In Stardew Valley?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. So, that's a really good game if you're into those kind of things. But, at the same time, if you're like my wife and end up making it this mega corporation, essentially, farm, maybe it's not a good escape. I don't know. She says it's a wonderful escape, but also she runs Animal Crossing and games like this with an iron fist. So I think she just likes being a dictator.
That's funny.
Yeah. But no, it's a great one. It's a good time waster. There's always something to do. The crafting system is great with it. And there's another game, but it's kind of a scarier one. I think there's a plague going on in that one. That might not be a good one to choose. Graveyard Keeper. There's a communist donkey whenever you start it. So,
well, those
anyway.
life sim games, man. Harvest Moon 64 was probably my favorite one, man. The only problem with that is, I think the only way that you could play it right now on current consoles is you can't.
Yeah, exactly. They haven't been as good since Harvest Moon 64, to be honest. Like, current Harvest Moon games look like they are mobile games thrown in a blender.
Well, there's also a lot of There's also a lot of problems with the trademark, and it's split off into like Story of Seasons and Harvest Moon, and then there's also Ruin Factory.
Yeah, Rune Factory.
So it's real weird the way everything's set up, and I really like the I guess you would call it like the bird's eye view style type Harvest Moon games. I don't like the one where you it's third person or where you follow behind the person in the 3D world. Oh, now that I think about it, if you still have a Wii U, I think you could play Harvest Moon 64, or maybe
with the virtual console.
Yeah,
the problem is, can you get? I mean, they closed down the virtual console at some point. Shop. Yeah, it's not there anymore. Maybe, I don't know. I don't have a Wii U anymore. I have a Wii. I have a Wii within arm's reach, and I'm breaking stuff.
You have like 2 of them over there, don't you?
Yeah, I got some for dirt cheap. I think we did a podcast on it. Buying cheap stuff at the flea markets, saving you some money. You might have a roach infestation in your consoles, but you can spray them.
Dude, when I went to trade in my Wii U at GameStop, like I never realized that they have to shake out those consoles to make sure there's nothing in them.
Oh yeah, I've seen some stories where if there's like an infestation of bugs, they just like bag it up and hand it back to the people.
Yeah.
Because PlayStation 3s, I think, were really bad about that. Like there was something, the way that they were built. Sometimes that happens with electronics, is certain animals really dig like living inside of things.
Oh, it's a nice warm spot.
Yeah, man. It's got a airplane connected to it. So, all right, what is next on your list?
Let's see. I'm gonna keep it with the Nintendo vibe. We're gonna go with Fire Emblem 3 Houses, and I also want to throw in. I've also played Fire Emblem Awakening on the 3DS.
Okay, so you really got into Fire Emblem, but did you play Awakening beforehand?
Oh yeah, no. Awakening I played years ago on the 3DS, and in between Awakening and 3 Houses, they had there was a remake of one. And then there was another one that came out, but there was like 2 different versions of it. It's kind of like Pokemon style, where you get one version and it's one story. You get another version, it's another story, and then they merge at the end for a third story. I forget what that one was called, but Awakening was what really got me into Fire Emblem. And it was really awesome on the 3DS, man. I can't tell you how many hours I spent with that. But
I probably can on Fire Emblem. I can go look on your profile.
It's probably over 120 hours.
Probably, yeah, it's a lot.
But my save files are split, so that's not a good way to keep track. But 3 Houses, I played so much last year, and there's so much you could do in it. And if this quarantine goes on much longer, I may be beating that third storyline that I never got to. 3. Oh, and I need to do the DLC. Like I never got it and got into it just because. How DLC is weird, and sometimes you get it, and you have to be at a certain part of the story before you can start it. You can't just pick it and automatically start. So I need to look up like where you need to be in the story to start it.
That's kind of why I haven't gotten the DLC for The Witcher yet, is because, I mean, you told me where I need to start it, but then I got distracted by other games.
You need to start. You need to start Heart of Stone now, and then start. Blood and Wine after you beat the main story.
Or I could continue playing Nier Automata and Ori Will of the Wisps.
Dude, Nier Automata. Nier Automata is so good. You should stop recording right now and go play it.
Okay. No, it is good. I finally did. I'm kind of segueing on here, but I finally got past, I guess, the first real boss, not the one that, try not to give it away if anybody hasn't played the game. Not the crane doom monsters, but the one with the humanoid. You know what I'm talking about?
That tells me nothing about that game. There's so many humanoid monsters.
Yeah, okay. We'll talk after the show. Anyway.
What's your next one?
All right, next up for me, should we go down this Nintendo road? Let's go and keep going with it. Hey, it's Mario again. Oh my gosh, Mario Odyssey. So Mario Odyssey is one of those games that Nintendo really caught that Disney-esque epic feel with that they've been trying for years. I think Nintendo has always really tried to be on the same level as animated movies, and this is the first game that I feel like they really, really caught that with Odyssey. It has just a sheer whimsical feeling to it throughout the entire game. The worlds are created to where they look absolutely different depending on where you're at. You're immersed in it, and it's just a really good game. It's one of those games too that I was a huge Mario 64 fan. Okay. And that would be a game I would suggest also. Just kind of the 3D Marios in general are good escape games because you kind of just get lost in the world that has its own feel to it that's like nothing else out there. It's the epitome of platforming. But Mario 64 was the first game that really was that 3D platforming for me, coming from an age of Super Nintendo and NES that was just so brand new to me. And I feel like Mario Odyssey kind of captured that on a quality level, not so much just like it's a brand new experience, but they really captured the quality of being in almost like a movie and enjoying it and living through it. Plus, you can bounce on cars and dinosaurs chase you randomly. And you can become a dinosaur. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Dude,
yes.
It was crazy. Like when I first started playing that one, I mean, but going back to Mario 64, I remember playing that for the first time and thinking video games will never ever look better than this at this time. Like, oh God, what is that? It's a star. But no, I was like, there's no way video games will ever look better than this. And then of course, fast forward to all these great Mario platformers. When Odyssey came out, I was utterly amazed at how much they could pack into that little bitty game cartridge.
Oh, absolutely. It's funny how we're going back to cartridges now. Even the new systems that are coming out, man, you cannot play those games unless they're loaded onto their hard drives now.
Yeah.
They're solid state drives, unless it's like old games that are compatible with it. But yeah, it's really just kind of crazy what you can do now in a little bit of thing.
And it was a huge game, man. I probably played it for 2 months, and that's a long time for me playing a game.
Oh, even for a platformer, man. Are you talking about 64 or Odyssey?
I'm sorry, Odyssey.
Okay. I'm right there with you. I probably played, whenever you're a kid, you kind of play a game over and over and over and over and over again.
Oh, yeah.
So I probably played that way too long. But Odyssey, though, kind of captured that, too. I know, I think you're supposed to beat it in 8 hours, right? I think I probably spent 35 hours before because I was just having fun looking for things and trying to find stuff and trying out new things. The ending of that game was just like pure joy, though. If you haven't gotten to the ending of the game, get there. It's really awesome. I had a blast with that.
Yeah, dude, it was utterly amazing.
Yeah, and I'm still. Sorry.
It's the music video, pretty much.
Yeah, that's what I really liked about it. Yes, music video. One thing too that I'm finding really impressive with these Nintendo Switch games. I know they're not like in 4K, they're not HDR and stuff, but they're doing some really cool tricks with these Nintendo-made games with some of the graphics, as far as making cartoon effects or textures. Just kind of going into a side quest thought about the new Animal Crossing that just came out. It's got some really amazing texture work in the game that I wasn't expecting. There's some nice, I guess it's bump mapping. Whenever you're going fishing, that it makes the water looks like they're rippling, but it's really not, changing the geometry of it. Good stuff. Yeah, I know. I'm like graphics oriented because I'm an artist, and not so much graphics oriented, but I always like how they sneak things into stuff. I know you're more the musical and gameplay aspects of it, but I like gameplay too. Don't get me wrong, but
So
Yeah.
speaking of Animal Crossing, let's go ahead and get into my third.
Hot dang, that's on your list.
Just the Animal Crossing series in
Just
general.
General. Doesn't matter
Oh
which
my
one you
God.
start with.
Well,
Yeah.
I didn't like the Wii one. I don't know what it was about it. I wasn't a big fan of the Wii one, man. The GameCube was
still
awesome.
trying to. It's been so long. It has been 8 years since the last Animal Crossing.
Has it?
Yeah, I read that the other day. I could be wrong on that, but if it released on the Wii, it wasn't on the Wii U, right? We didn't have a Wii U Animal Crossing.
No, the 3DS one was the last one.
Ah, okay. I guess console then.
So it's been out.
Yes.
New Leaf.
I'm gonna look while you talk.
Are you
Tell us
crazy?
why. Huh?
Oh, okay. So no, like, what's crazy about Animal Crossing though is, this got my family into video game. Like, me and my parents and my little brother would play NES all the time. Like, there were a few games that we would all play and stuff like that. Well, when my family stopped really playing as other consoles came out and stuff. Well, when Animal Crossing came out, me and my brother each had our own town on because they were on like
nice
the little.
If you could do that on this new one without buying another freaking Switch. Sorry, I'm not bitter.
They were on like the little memory cards. So you could just change out the memory card and be in a different town. And then that's how you visited other people's towns, by putting their town or their memory cartridge in the second slot. My dad loved this game. He saw us watching it. And he was like, I want to play. So then he started playing. My dad bought a GameCube just so he could play that game.
Oh, I can guarantee you the discussion over the second Switch is just getting more and more pertinent in our household. Love you. All right, sorry. My wife's looking at me as she's doing all the stuff in town. She is being nice. She's trying to save some things for me to do. But I really don't. Did you notice, like, in the new one, that whenever you, like, the first person that plays, if they, like, shake all the trees and do all the stuff, there's nothing left for the second person.
Yeah, we have separate switches.
We have separate switches, like separate beds, like we're in the 50s. Yes. That's pretty much what it's turned into.
No,
I don't know anything about this.
Yeah,
what are you talking about?
I don't know anything, man. My town is my town.
My town's my town. It ain't your town, it's my town. All
no, I knew that it was going to get rough if we had one Switch and one copy of Animal Crossing. So I went out and bought an extra Switch. 2 months ago, you could actually find a Rowdy's Ruckus ranting about that one. Ooh. But no, and then we bought 2 digital copies of Animal Crossing because it was going to get messy. I will say the only thing that we're fighting about right now is which one gets to play on the TV.
Oh, I could see that. Now, yeah, we're the same way. We're a one TV household. Granted, I can use my monitor screen occasionally, and I do. But yeah, I could see that being a fight. No, hopefully if this all this quarantine pandemic stuff blows over here in the next month or two, hopefully that soon, I might look into another Switch. I'm definitely holding off though until there's a little more certainty in the world. But I was gonna pull up Animal Crossing New Leaf, released in Japan November 8th, 2012, Rowdy.
Oh.
It has been almost 8 years.
Okay,
7
so the
years.
Wii U, so the Wii version was even longer than that.
Yeah, dude.
I didn't like that version.
It's old enough to, get into, what is it, 3rd grade?
Oh, God.
Yeah, you could have had a kid. They've been in 3rd grade by now since the last Animal Crossing. And they would be, wanting to play Animal Crossing right now. And you'd be like, I was playing this game since you were before you were born, kid.
Dude, Animal Crossing.
Things about collecting bells.
The series itself is 19 years old.
Oh, yeah, man. It's almost old enough to drink at this point since first Animal Crossing. If you had a kid, remember the first Animal Crossing came out, they graduated last year. Oh, man, that's just terrible. I'm making some people feel old.
But no, man. So Animal Crossing, great series. I would suggest every single one of them, even the Wii version, even though I didn't like it. Doesn't mean you won't. Great I played New Leaf for probably 4 years. Mm-hmm. I mean, even recently, I was pulling out my 3DS just to start picking the weeds and everything in the town and cutting my hair because it looks funny on there when you don't play for a while. Your hair grows out. It's all weird.
Oh, I didn't know that. On the new one or the old one?
On New Leaf.
Okay. Yeah, I'm about to get the haircut DIY pack or whatever it is.
Dude, I've got all the haircut stuff. I've got the hair colors. Dude, I made 15,000 miles yesterday in the game. Like the Nook miles.
I've probably got 8,000 total if I count the ones I've turned in for my house.
Oh, yeah. No, I'm not counting that.
Oh, gosh. Presley, no, I'm not counting those.
I'm not counting those measly 5,000 miles.
Yeah, those didn't count. You can do that in the first hour of the game. Talk about.
No. Man. So let's move on. What's your next pick, Travis?
Well, before we move on, if you are watching us on YouTube, do not forget to hit. Well, we're all new at this. The like buttons or the subscribe buttons. We're pointing at things. I don't know where they go. But anyway, we actually have quite a few subscribers on YouTube, but because YouTube doesn't like us or it doesn't like telling you about us, you got to hit the subscribe thing and all this other junk. Whatever. I'm done with that. Let's escape from the real world and let's go to Xenoblade.
Nice.
Xenoblade series is amazing. Now, they are going to be releasing the Xenoblade Chronicles 1 Definitive Edition, like a remaster on the Switch. I would highly recommend pre-ordering that now or getting it digitally, honestly, because I think that comes out in May.
Really?
I think so. I'll look in just a little bit. But there's 3 games in the Xenoblade Chronicles series. Now there are games in what are called the Xenosaga series because it was originally a creator that worked for other companies at first. Then they split. Nintendo bought a company. They helped create. I don't know if they helped create it, called Monolith Soft. And Monolith Soft released Xenoblade Chronicles 1 in Japan only. It was so popular and at the guess on the deathbed of the regular Wii, Nintendo, there was a uprising of fans that saw how good this game was, including some people that I happen to know. Game Witness, Tyson, they created a group that convinced Nintendo to bring it to the U.S.
My name's Travis, and I'm going to name drop.
I'm going to name drop. Yes. No, he's cool. He's got a podcast, but it's focused on TV. Anyway, so... But anyway, so the first one has a really awesome story, and the world is not set on a normal world. It's essentially you are living on the backs of what are called Titans, these giant robotic gods, for lack of a better name. And as you're playing, you can actually see the other, I guess the Mechon or the other, whatever they're called, god on the other side. You're literally like running up the legs and the arms and stuff like that as you're playing. It's definitely got some twists and turns to the plot. I don't want to go over it too much because Rowdy has not played the first one.
No, I haven't. I didn't get into, what was it, Xenoblade Chronicles X?
Yeah.
You actually got me a copy of that. You were like, dude,
yes,
you have to do it. You have to play it.
Yes.
It's a must. And then I kid you not, 120 hours into it. It was the game that I played the most on the Wii U.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I was just saying, like, the way that, or the size of the world and everything you could explore, and the fact that you were in mechs.
Yes.
Dude, and you could change out everything on your mech, and then you could fly around and listen to the Awesome Flying song. And by Awesome Flying song, I mean terrible. But the game was amazing.
Sky, and then the yeah. Oh, some of the music is pretty. It's good, but it's on repeat a lot.
Look, there's a lot of epic music in that game.
There is good music.
There's just a couple of songs that are really bad. Like the songs when you're in, what is it, New LA?
Mm-hmm.
And then the flying song. So 2 songs out of the whole soundtrack are bad.
That is
true.
They
do play a lot, though.
Oh, man, the Oblivia music.
Dude.
So good.
Oh man.
Man, there are places in the game that you can go to and you hear the songs and it just brings you back. And that's how you know you have a good soundtrack. Now, the first Xenoblade is like that, where you have music so good that you actually start thinking about the places you are. So I can't wait to hear what you think on the soundtrack later on for the first one. Now, I'm suggesting these two games for two different reasons. I'm going to talk about the third game in the series separately. We're going to put that in a little box to the side for right now. There's reasons why, but these two are the top. Xenoblade Chronicles 1, because if you want to experience a story and follow a story in really like being part of a good drama, an end of the world epic kind of thing, where you are essentially questioning what is the concept of God in the game. It's just absolutely stunning and breathtaking. There is a lot of philosophy built into the game, actually in all the Xenoblade games. I've had chats with lots of people about the philosophy behind the Xenoblade series. I think Chronicles 2, which is the third one, answers a lot of that, but we're not there yet. Now, so if you want to be part of a really great story, that's the one to go to. Also, the gameplay is really good. You get the Monado, which gives you special powers, as most games do, seem to give you this special weapon that gives you special powers. But there's love and loss. There's great characters that back things up. And most importantly, whenever it comes out, it will be rain time, which is going to be one of those things that are either going to love because he says it a million times. One of the characters' name is Rain. Or you're going to absolutely hate like my wife does.
Fishy, fishy, fishy.
Oh, gosh. Yeah. Okay, so the thing about Xenoblade Chronicles 2, if somebody is watching you play it and they don't play video games,
they hate it.
They absolutely freaking hate it because you're playing this game at least like if you're speeding through 70 hours.
Yeah.
Yeah, I probably beat the first one in 110 hours. I had a good old time with it. But
there's just so much to do in them.
Oh yeah, and the worlds are the true concept of epic. I mean, they're really a whole new place, a whole new way of being. They look so unearthly that it's just a beautiful thing to be in. But you tend to have repeating catchphrases by characters. You have repeating music, and that drives somebody batty after a while. It's like being audibly waterboarded, I guess, over time for the person watching. You know, eventually you're going to make them talk, and they're not going to be happy when they talk.
That's a lot of JRPGs, though. That's not just exclusive to the Xenoblade series. I mean, Final Fantasy is that bad about that.
Oh yeah, they all are.
Fire Emblem's bad about that, but this game, I mean, it just had stuff that really stuck out. Like, I guess it's Rain Time. I've never played part 1. I never heard that.
It's Rain Time. Oh, but they're all British.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah.
And it's funny because in Xenoblade Chronicles 2, they're all British as well. But in X, I don't really remember that many people being British sounding.
No, I don't think so in X because they were American. Remember, there was New LA.
Oh, that's right.
Okay, so going into Xenoblade Chronicles X.
So good. So good.
Okay. It's such a good game. Now, the difference here is you start in a central location and then you spread out and explore this uncharted world. There are some cool plot twists. Its story is not as good overall. The cliffhanger at the end makes you want to punch the screen, though.
I thought it was awesome.
Oh, no, it's a great cliffhanger. I'm just saying, I want a second one. So bad.
What's funny about that, though, is that Xenoblade Chronicles 1 and Xenoblade Chronicles 2, they're not continuations of each other.
No.
It's the same lore,
right?
Kind of, because it's still like the Titans and everything like that. Now, if they make a Chronicles X Part 2, it needs to continue, just because of how that game ended. And, you know, you're talking about philosophy in games. I absolutely hate philosophy. I hate talking with people about philosophy. I hate it. I really do. Like, if you want to see how annoying some people are, talk about philosophy.
Yeah.
and it will bring out the worst in people. But the ending of that game really makes you think.
So the first Xenoblade Chronicles, how it ends, you'll see how it connects to the second one.
Yeah. I mean,
so there is a connection.
I figure there's a lot of connection, but I know it's not like a continuation. Like this one ends, then boom, next one. It's not like that.
It's so good. Now X is its own thing, its own beast. It has a sense of scale that you don't get in any of the other Xenoblade games. Going from running around on foot to driving around in a mech to flying across different continents. It is absolutely breathtaking. The first game that really, I think, has a sense of scale that makes you feel minuscule in it. And then by the end of it, you feel like you're kind of conquering the land that you've explored in a way.
Oh, I never felt that way because at the end of it, like when I'm like a max level, there are still monsters that are like, I don't know, 20, 50 levels higher.
I guess I lied. There's always something that is going to put you down a peg and straight up wing slap you out of the sky as you're flying by if you're not careful. And Territorial Rockbart seems to be in every single one of these. And he is territorial, and he's a giant monkey, and he will straight up throw a boulder at you and murder you. When you start the game, if you start any of these games, beware what you run around. Those level things that are over their head that say like level 23, level 4 billion, or 99, whatever it is, they will murder you.
Yes.
Without thinking about it, and they might accidentally step on you and kill you. Okay, so let's go into Xenoblade Chronicles 2 and why I'm not suggesting that. Okay, maybe I should suggest it. It's a good game, but to me, it's not the best. It does have the best fighting style. The world is, if you're into anime and you're into, I guess, the way a lot of people typify it is by saying it's like a Saturday morning anime cartoon. If you are into that, go for it. But if you're looking for an epic escape to kind of leave the world, essentially, it can be a little cringy at times. I'm trying to make suggestions for people that are, might have issues with that kind of stuff, or their wives might be like, what the heck are you watching this for? So out of the three, that one's the one that is a little less serious, and it's Pokemon Waifu Simulator 2018. Because the designs for a lot of these characters, the artists were did a lot of illustrations for things I'm not going to talk about. They hired like dozens of artists to create the characters you would collect to fight with you, essentially. The blades. And they hired some interesting artists for some of these. That's all I'm going to say. All right. I've talked at least 100 hours on Xenoblade. Rowdy, you need to talk some. What's the next game on your list, sir?
All right, man. I'm going to get out of the Nintendo category.
Finally leaving Nintendo.
And I'm going to the Sony category.
Oh, so Sony, talk to me.
I was trying to pick one game in this series. Can't do it. And then it started making me think that I need to add other games by this company because they're kind of the same. The Naughty Dog games, starting with Uncharted. So Uncharted, there are 6 games in this series. You can get Uncharted 1 through 3 on one disc and play those, and they're all absolutely amazing. They're third-person shooters. It's if you're pretty much a new age Indiana Jones, and the games play like if when the first one came out, I described it as Tomb Raider done right, because this was before the Tomb Raider reboots, which were really good.
I've played a couple of them actually. They are good.
Well, the Tomb Raider reboots, like if you like those, the Uncharted series is better. The only problem with the first one, playing it on PS3, they used motion controls for the grenades, and it was really annoying.
Isn't Uncharted on PC and Xbox?
No.
Or is it exclusive? Okay.
It is. It's
There's some sort of
exclusive.
series. There's some sort of series that seems similar to me.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of, I almost said dungeon crawler. No, there's a lot of adventure games that are kind of like that. Like you're basically Indiana Jones or something like that.
Yeah.
But these games play a lot like a movie. It's crazy how well they control. And then you get to one cutscene, and then it comes right out of the cutscene and into the next battle, and you just, it controls awesome. Well, then, let's see. There was one for the PlayStation Vita that you're probably not gonna find anywhere or be able to play because nobody has a Vita. But it was really
somebody's like, I still have a Vita.
I mean, I wish I still had mine, but there's just not many people out there that have them.
Yeah.
But then, let's see. So Uncharted 4 came out for PlayStation 4, and it was utterly amazing. It was one of the best looking games ever. It controlled so good. I mean, just the storyline, the way it ends, everything. It's so great. And if you were to play all of the 4 mainline games, I mean, you're going to get, if you sat down and played them all the way through, you're probably still going to get a week out of them.
Wow.
But then there was also a side story, like a kind of a secondary one that came out on PS4 called Uncharted Lost Legacy, where you play as 2 different characters from the series. And it's awesome playing as these, like little side stories that are somewhat going on during one of the other games. But then the reason why I say the Naughty Dog games is there's another game in the Naughty Dog series, well, that Naughty Dog made after Uncharted, called The Last of Us. Oh my God. One of the greatest games ever. I went and replayed it recently, and it's probably one of my top 5 games of all time. The storyline, I mean, within the first 20 minutes, you're on the verge of tears. It's, oh my God. I got too excited. All right. Calm down, Rowdy.
Calm down, Rowdy. Calm down.
It's just it's such a good game. The way that it looks, the storyline, the voice acting, the way that the music keeps you just you know something's coming up because of the music, and the ambient stuff is so great. The sound design, just all of the enemies in it are great. And then just that ending. Oh my God. It's going to play a lot into the next one that's coming out at the end of May. That is a game I cannot wait for.
That game's kind of based on a pandemic fungus too, right?
Well, okay, so let's kind of get into it. It's based off of the cordyceps parasite.
Okay.
Which is actually a real thing.
So that's the parasite that gets into ants, right?
Yes.
That makes them crawl up high, and then they pop out like a mushroom, and then it spores everywhere. Then, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
So that is what it's based off of. So basically, that's if the cordyceps parasite jumped to humans.
Cheery.
So at work, it's always the same crew that I work with, and it's the same 3 of us for the day shift. And so another guy I work with absolutely loves the game as well. Also one of his top 5. Absolute great game. We got our fellow employee who had never played the game recently to play it after the coronavirus had already started to, go worldwide.
Yeah.
And so we're like, hey, you need to play this game, man. Like, I brought it to work. I was actually almost late to work because I turned around, went home, grabbed it, and then brought it to it. So I was trying to explain it to him, and he was like, wait, so is this like a global pandemic in this game? I was like, yes, it is. He absolutely loved it. Got near the end of the game. I mean, he was within maybe 30 minutes of the end of the game. His daughter saved over the save file.
So my nephew has been staying with us, and he just moved recently, and he was talking about how he remembers playing Animal Crossing as a kid, and he came over and deleted my sister's save file whenever he was really little.
Did she stab him?
I'm surprised he has his arms. Like she didn't like take a thumb and pop it off. You know, people break your hands if you you delete your Animal Crossing.
But for real, I mean, people should really look into the Naughty Dog series. Naughty Dog's done a lot of good games. I mean, they did like Crash Bandicoot and stuff like that. But Uncharted and The Last of Us, and the reason why I kind of put those together is they control very similar. The stories aren't the same, like at all, but they're both great games, man, or great series. You should definitely pick them up if you haven't.
Mm-hmm.
So, what's your next one, man?
All right, so I'm going to go ahead and hop off the Nintendo bandwagon for a bit too. For one game.
One game.
I'm going to talk about the series, and I talk about this a lot, and I'm going to drive Rowdy crazy with it. He might walk away. But the Pillars of Eternity series, if you were into CRPGs, or I would also say if you're not into that series, Divinity is pretty good. I've been playing Divinity 2. But the Pillars of Eternity series is a great world to get lost in. Now, the first one is far more depressing than the second one. Granted, they're both connected. They both have this interesting world that is really exists out of the scope of any other video game. Because a lot of these people that are... I'm playing Divinity right now, right? And there's your elf, there's your dwarves, and they all kind of follow along the same stereotypes you'd expect to see. This game does not. It has its own lore built in. It has its own character base. It's really something interesting. It's a pause-based battle system. If you don't like battling, you can actually run computer. Like there's AI settings for all the characters. You put it on easy, you just put your AI in and let them fight for you. Like if you want to just sit back and enjoy the game, you can do that. I really like the battling though. Like I will take what some people will literally spend 2 minutes doing. I'll fight for an hour.
Yeah, I can see you doing that.
Because I really like pre-planning things like I'm going to throw a fireball with this person. This other one's going to come in and stab this one, but he's going to keep the 4 people over here occupied because he's a freaking tank. But one thing that is really interesting and I think really indicative of the fact that it's its own separate world is that there is an entire language in the game that you hear people talking occasionally. Now, it's the Valian language, and you'll hear people say agrasima and things like that, just like at the end of the sentences if they're Valian, or the Ratui, or the other various... not Ratatouille.
Okay, yeah, that's what I was about to say.
Not Ratatouille. They're not a chef race. But you also hear a lot of cuss words, and I figured in the podcast we need to figure out these curse words and start using them. I have 2 of them in caps for you if we ever needed to use them. Madiko and Merla, they mean bad things.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm down.
Yeah. So if you ever feel the need to cuss, we got this. But anyway, so whenever you take that long to go in and build an entire language with the lore, I always find that interesting in a game. Plus, you know how you like collect books in RPGs?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, well, some games, the writing kind of sucks. This game, not as much. I actually enjoy it.
It sucks worse.
No, it doesn't suck as bad. Like, I can't stand the writing in some of the Elder Scrolls games. Just because it's, I don't know. I don't know why I don't like about it. But anyway, now the whole story behind this is, of course, it's like the God complex thing, or you exist outside of, you're like the one, like as in all RPGs, you're always the one person that's going to save everybody. Granted, this game will straight up murder you depending on what you choose sometimes. In the second game, I got turned into a rat within the first 10 minutes and it ended. So, if a game's willing to make you make choices like in a Dungeons and Dragons style tabletop RPG, if they're willing to do stuff like that, I always find that interesting because the game doesn't necessarily care about making sure you have this. It doesn't really care about the journey so much as it is you existing in an epic world that doesn't really relate to where you're at. Now, the difference between the first one and the second one. First one is more focused on classical tropes, I guess you could say, with fantasy games to where it's almost a medieval setting. The second one is more piratey, and you go around on a boat. There's and you actually can like chase down different boats and do this. It's almost like not quite a text-based game, but like you click on which parts of the boats, where to turn and stuff like that. It's pretty cool, but really interesting writing. The characters are really well done. You'll like the characters, your sidekicks for the most part in this one. I can't say the same about Divinity right now because I am playing Divinity. I'm about 30 hours in. The difference between the two, and I would still suggest both if you're trying to look for an escape, the Divinity world is not quite as deep to me. And I know a lot of people say it's like the best RPG of all time. And there are multiplayer possibilities for it. But as far as a CRPG that's story heavy, that makes me want to escape, those two are where it's at for me.
Okay. Yeah. Nice.
Yeah.
It brings me back to like a lot of those like real-time strategy games. Like I used to love playing the Command and Conquer series and stuff like that.
And I think that's probably why I connected with them, because I remember we used to play a lot of real-time strategies.
Oh yeah, like I never could get into a lot of the RPGs on computer, but the real-time strategies, man, I'm down.
And it's like a real-time strategy mini is kind of how it is, except you can pause and change where you pew 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 or
pew pew
kaboom or summon dragon. Blah. And one thing I do find much better on this game, and I guess this is the last thing I want to say, you can really role play a character to an extreme with this series. So on Deadfire, I played a lot of different types of characters. Like I always try to play a good character like I'd be excellent, right? But I was this what they're called ciphers, and I could get into people's heads and mess with them or shred their brains essentially as you're playing and make them go stupid or control them. Well, I played 2 other playthroughs. I played one where I just tried to go for sheer power, and you can actually sacrifice your teammates to an altar somewhere in an island and get powers from all these gods. And then I tried to play one as all the bad choices I could possibly make. And I was a dwarf that hid behind a shield and summoned things. Because what's worse than a moron that summons demons? Nothing. So, and the fact that I could really role play these, and you are affected by your choices, and you're actually affected by your choices in the first game if you carry it over. I did like do a fake playthrough on the first game essentially, and you can choose different paths that you supposedly picked in the first ones.
Like you do for The Witcher.
Yeah, like you do for The Witcher. Except The Witcher is sneaky about it. I didn't know, like at the beginning of The Witcher, it's like asking you questions. I'm just like, did I do that? Am I going to answer wrong? I really wish I would have known that about The Witcher at first, because that I have no idea what the heck I said at the beginning of that game, but apparently I caused some problems.
Yeah.
But anyway, so with my dumb dwarf character that summons the demons, I ticked off the god of nature, so she perpetually surrounds my boat with birds that poop on it. It's just covered in white. It's disgusting.
You went from like lawful good on your first playthrough to like chaotic butthead.
Oh gosh, it's great. And I throw grenades everywhere, like if and I don't care. It's so fun that you can actually like play it, and you can talk to the people in the game and really make choices based on these things that will completely change how they talk to you and affect quests and all this stuff. So I really like it. It's good. I suggest.
It's good.
Do not get the console versions of Deadfire yet, though. I will say stray far away from that. It just released, and there have been problems. Now, Pillars of Eternity 1 is on Game Pass. So if you have Game Pass, go get it. There is a bit of a learning curve, but it's good. Okay? You'll still enjoy. The second one, hold up a minute.
Hold up a minute.
Hold up a minute. Okay, I think we're down to your last one on your list, right? Then at the end of this, we're going to talk about what some listeners suggested and some other podcasts suggested after our segments.
Yeah, man. So my last one, man, I really tried to get it down to one game in this series. But again, I had to go with a company. A company that
doesn't look like one game.
A company that is not in good graces right now.
Oh, really?
So the Bethesda first-person RPG games. So in this series, I want to be clear. What I mean by these is the Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion, Elder Scrolls 5 Skyrim, Fallout 3, Fallout New Vegas, and Fallout 4. No gotcha. Fallout 76 and nothing before, or no Elder Scrolls before Oblivion.
I'm going to say also Outer Worlds should fit in this category, even though they're technically not related.
It's not the same company. I tried to keep it in the same series. What? You're on video.
I know, and I'm talking to the people on video. That New Vegas people eventually made Outer Worlds. But anyway.
Oh, yeah. So, my favorite of all of these that I listed was probably New Vegas, actually. But the reason why I say these games in a time like this, you could put mods on all these games.
Yes.
And they become absolutely amazing. You can turn Skyrim into Final Fantasy VII. You can take Fallout 3 and hunt down, I don't know, Ice King for Adventure Time.
You can make Macho Man Randy Savage into a dragon in Skyrim.
Dude, the absolute scariest dragon mod in Skyrim is when you turn the dragon into Thomas the Tank Engine. Do you know how? Oh my God!
I did not know about that one.
And it plays the Thomas the Tank Engine theme song, like whenever he shows up. Super scary. But all these games, even without the mods, there's so many hours that could be put into these games. I can't tell you how many times I've replayed Fallout 3. To me, it blew my mind because that was the first one in these series that I played. And it just blew my mind that this is what video games were doing. Just how big the world is, the story in it, the voice acting, not so good. I mean, they had like Liam Neeson in it, and I think
some of the voice acting.
Like I think Ron Perlman is in every Fallout game, but
you can get lost in it, and that was such a brand new thing at that time. Whenever it came out, and it's still that way. I mean, there's a lot of games that try to capture the magic of Fallout 3.
Like
never really do.
Like Fallout 76.
Yeah, like Fallout 76.
So awful. I hate it. But yeah,
you hear this, EA? Bad EA.
It's not EA.
Oh,
it's
whoever
Bethesda.
you are. They're so bad that I think they're EA. That's the problem. Bad Bethesda. Stop it. Okay. My dogs are probably worried.
But these whole Bethesda first-person RPGs, man, I mean, they're just so good. And I mean, I know there's a lot of people out there who really like Morrowind as well. Mm-hmm. I couldn't really get into it, but I mean, I could see why people do. I mean, they're all so amazing. I'll never forget, like, after playing, or when I started Elder Scrolls, because I blew through Oblivion really fast because I wanted to get through it before playing Skyrim. And I was just blown away by how much bigger Skyrim was than Oblivion. Oh, dude, they're all so good. And then New Vegas, the writing I think in New Vegas was the best out of all.
And you could choose things that actually affected life, and that's a lot of those New Vegas people in the company that did that is involved in the games I was talking about before this, which is why I was saying the writing's good. Yeah.
But yeah, man, they're all good. And then Fallout 4, you could waste a whole lot of time building stuff. It's like
Mm-hmm.
Fallout Minecraft. Dude,
Fallout Craft.
dude, they're all so good. I loved all of these games. And I would actually suggest playing them on PC.
Yeah.
Just because of the mods and everything you can
Yeah.
add to
You
them.
can do a lot more with the mods.
And you
Now-
will never, ever hear me say you should play it on PC.
And you get them dirt cheap, honestly.
Yeah.
Now, if you really have to, though, I mean, let's see. Skyrim's on the Switch. And the Switch version is actually pretty good. If you need to, like, just play handheld, it's actually a really good mod of it, a really good version of it.
You can play Skyrim on Alexa.
Yeah, you can. You could probably play it on your toaster, which, I mean, is called the Switch. But, I mean, you could play it on your Icebox.
Yeah.
Didn't they do that? I think they did a Samsung. I think somebody did a Samsung Icebox just to see if they could do it. Like, I know there's been some people that, like, have hacked it onto ridiculous stuff.
I think the most ridiculous hack I've seen on just stuff that you don't need to play a video game on the Mac Pros, they have a little touch bar at the top. And it could, a whole lot of stuff can change on it. It's kind of a little screen where you could adjust all kinds of different settings and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Well, somebody hacked it to where Doom, like the original 1992 Doom, could be played on just the touch bar. Now, the touch bar itself is maybe like a quarter of an inch tall.
Yeah.
Like, that's ridiculous, man. Come on.
That ain't right.
We could be out here curing cancer and stuff, and you're putting Doom on the touch bar.
Mm-hmm. Which reminds me, next episode I'm going to tell people, or I might do a small little segment of this. Have you seen that fold at home stuff?
No.
It's essentially you can run on a computer that has a decent GPU, and it's they're using this program to figure out different cures for coronavirus.
That's awesome.
To run simulations. So it's like running it against different medicines and things like that. So people are doing that. So soon I'm going to show people how to do it because I can get it up and running on one of my computers I'm not using that has a decent GPU. So
I think PlayStation 3 did that with something. I want to say it was like
Yeah.
HIV or something like that.
yeah, they did that with a lot of the PlayStation 3s. It's the same basic concept to where everybody, it's like making a massive networked supercomputer in a sense.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's a great thing to do. So I'm going to try to, before the end of this week, get a video or something like that up just to show people how to do it. So, all right. I think, do we have any more from Bethesda?
No, man, that is all for me, man.
All right. So my last one, you probably guessed it, Zelda Breath of the Wild or Ocarina of Time. Either one.
Okay, I was about to say, what
Both
made
good.
Breath of the Wild the one
Now,
you picked?
The reason why I'm saying Breath of the Wild before Ocarina of Time, because they were both excellent. They're both really an RPG in the sense that you're playing the role of a character in a whole different world. But Breath of the Wild, because you are exploring and there's lots of things to do. When you finish the story, there's still more to go back and do. There's still the little mini dungeons to figure out, the shrines. There are different places you might not discover. I know somebody that played this game for 300 hours before he really did the story.
Nice.
Just walking around the map to find things. If you are looking for a game to get lost in, this is probably the best game in this generation to get lost in. On the Switch, go download it if you haven't yet. It's a beautifully rendered game. There's something about the art style that's just extremely whimsical. I'm just looking up, just thinking, oh man, I need to start playing Zelda again. And it's similar story to a lot of the Zeldas, except for in this one, things going bad. And some of the other Zeldas, like things are about to go bad.
It already went bad.
Things done did went.
You start and it's been bad for 100 years.
Yeah, exactly. And you wake up in a cave and you meet some old dude and he helps you out. And you're really starting with nothing and you become this awesome dude that's going to save the princess by the end. If you're looking for that kind of adventure with a positive ending, I really think that's the way to go right now. I wish I could talk a whole bunch about it as far as the art style, the gameplay, but honestly, if you haven't played this yet, why the heck are you listening to this podcast?
Yeah, quit listening right now.
Stop.
Go play that.
Go buy this game. Seriously, if you don't have a Switch yet, I don't know how you can get one right now if you can't get to a GameStop. But
because they're still open.
They are still open. That's something we're going to be talking about next week on the news roundup, is some of the stuff that's leaked from GameStop about what they're doing. And they're saying that basically it's kind of a preview of it. They're saying that GameStop is an essential service. Dude, all these games can be downloaded nowadays.
No. They said they were essential not because of the games, but because of the equipment that they sold, like mice, keyboards, headphones, things like that.
See that kinda, but
well, I mean that's how they got around it.
Yeah. So
But back to Breath of the Wild.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on Breath of the Wild as far as how was your journey through Breath of the Wild? Because mine was, I did a lot of side adventuring because I sometimes say I have professional ADD. I have a lot of different jobs, but two, I cannot focus on the main quest. And I'm bad at finishing games, but I did finish this one, and I spent a lot of time just kind of having fun with the physics, man. That's another thing that really, I think, connects you to the real world in a sense, to where it feels like you're somewhere else, is the physics system is really fun to play with, even if you don't want to deal with the story.
So a lot of times in games like this, I spend so much time side questing, and then I'll get to places where I'm like, okay, well, I don't want to do this part of the main story. I want to do some more side questing. When if I had just gone and done a little bit more of the main quest, those side quests would have been a lot easier.
I could see that.
But yeah, so I probably put 80 hours into this game, and man, there is probably 500 more that you could put into it. I don't see how they made a game of this scope. It is so amazing. I mean, there are places of that map I still haven't even discovered. It is ridiculous how large it is.
So, connecting back to games we were talking about earlier, Monolith Soft helped with development on the world on this game.
Mm-hmm.
Xenoblade Chronicles X has this same kind of feel to the world where it's just so massive. How do you even make it? Well,
magic
and Monolith Soft. You combine those two, and then they make a massive epic world. And it's insane. Every nook and cranny of the game, you're going to find something. And you might literally find something because there's those little Korok seeds or poops. What are they?
They're poops.
Yeah, they're Korok poops.
Don't do that mission. Dude, there are 200 Korok seeds, I think. Mm-hmm. If you find all 200 of them, you get a golden poop.
That is true.
That's what you get. You don't get any kind of power up. You don't get anything like it. You get a gold poop for finding
you get
200 seeds. Well, okay, well, yeah. It does, like, all the seeds. It's
not just for the poop.
But for real, you get poop at the end.
Oh, Nintendo.
Not to mention, there were a couple of tributes in that game. What is it? I think the old man at the beginning of the game is supposed to be a tribute to Robin Williams.
Oh, because his daughter's name is Zelda.
Yeah, and he's a huge fan of the Legend of Zelda series. And there's also a mountain and a spirit on this mountain that was a tribute to Satoru Iwata, who passed away before the Switch came out.
Yeah. Yeah, it's such a good game. And there's, I think some of my favorite parts in the game are the dragon that flies around the ice mountain.
Dude, there's
that
4
thing
dragons.
Is massive. Yeah.
4 dragons. I only found 2 of them, I think.
I mean, it's really amazing the size and scope of this world. Now, the difference between this and Xenoblade is you don't really feel like you conquer this world. It takes a long time to get from point A to point B. And you still have the size of scale built into the game because you can like get up really high. You can actually slingshot yourself up into the sky and stuff. It's kind of fun.
Have you seen them launching the Guardians recently?
Nuh-uh.
Dude, okay, so the little like 8-legged spider guardian things that scare the crap out of you all the time.
Yes. Shoot lasers.
People have been launching those things. Like, go look this up when we're done with this, dude.
They deserve to be launched.
They will take and put the ice block up underneath them. So you shoot them in the eye and it stuns them. So then you put the ice underneath them and it will launch them into the air over mountains. It will launch them so high. It is absolutely hilarious, dude. I spent probably 30 minutes one day just watching highlight clips of people launching these things through the air. It's so funny, man.
Man, I spent so much time with the like little carts that you can find in the game, like the mine carts, and trying to make myself like fly in the air. I managed to do it once. I had way too much fun with the physics on this game. They really did a great job with the engine on that. I think
the DLC was awesome too.
The DLC ticked me off. I did not. Now, okay, so the concept of this show comes from a ridiculous discussion or comment made by Notch of Minecraft the other day on Twitter, because he had said something about a side quest. So anytime I see the word side quest by somebody, like, we love side quests, and then I, of course, push the show on to people. So I sent some graphics over, and he replied to our to that, "You seem bouncy." Yes, Notch, we do. But so I was talking about, we had looking to do side quests, what Rowdy and I do, and he said we'll have plenty of side quests coming up, and that he's using Zelda Breath of the Wild's the Master Sword Trials as his side quest right now. That is not what I want to do for a side quest right now.
But you get a motorcycle.
You do get a motorcycle in the end, which is awesome. But so we do know Notch is doing that as a side quest to escape everything right now. So that's kind of fun.
Good luck to him.
Yeah, good luck, Notch. All right. Speaking of, I guess, suggestions by people, since we got the epic Notch's suggestion for a escape, before we get into the bonus listener suggestion section, don't forget to check out our friends over at parallaxmedia.one. They share this podcast with the world on their website and help us spread the word on social media, because I am not a fan of social media. I like Twitter. Instagram still ticks me off. I've tried, people. I'm trying to get on Instagram and enjoy it, but I got these stupid thumbs that are like ham hock hands, and you can't do anything on the computer. I love keyboards. Why can't we have keyboards and mice on Instagram and have it work? You can't upload anything unless you trick your Instagram website into thinking you're on a device, but then things don't work right. I hate Instagram. All right. Oh, and by the way, parallaxmedia.one is pretty awesome gaming news website too. Yeah. All right. It's time for some bonus games. And if you're listening on the podcast, there's probably some transition music here. But maybe you're not. If you're on YouTube, you're still here. All right. There might be some transition music. I don't know. All right. Probably so not. I guess we can hop back and forth on this list, and we can make some comments on what they chose to see if they're actually real good games. Because I think a lot of people are kind of joking with some of these. So the first one that I put on the list is The Goomba. That's _Goomba on Twitter. Sorry for the late reply, but Stardew Valley was my go-to escape game for a while. Colorful, easy platform games like Yoshi or Kirby are also a good way to relax, especially Yoshi with its collection element. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
I like that.
They're not crazy games. They're nice and bouncy, nice and
they're
easy
bouncy
to play.
They're
Yeah.
busy. I will disagree with the new Yoshi game.
Eh,
It's an escape. You turn off the freaking sound.
It was decent.
It'll put you to sleep. You need some rest. Play the new Yoshi and listen to the music. It's the same stupid song in different styles. Ugh. Anyway, Kirby though. Kirby's good stuff.
Oh yeah.
Kirby's awesome. All right, so the next one. Why don't you do the next one and talk about if you think this game is a good escape right now?
So the Pot Askew podcast says Final Fantasy VII. I never played the original Final Fantasy VII, and I just started it. And let's just say it's fun. I really like the story, but it didn't age well. the graphics.
Yeah.
A
lot of those PS1 games didn't age well graphically.
I mean, I would suggest playing it, but like, don't expect good graphics. Oh, but you could play it on anything though. Now that I think about it, like it's on PS4, it's on Xbox, it's on Switch, it's on everything, man.
And I'd imagine like they bump up the resolution, but at that point it's like putting lipstick on a pig, right? You know, I'm sure my wife's like, that would probably be cute.
Nope.
Nope. All right, so next one is controller disconnected podcast. Matt over there says Red Dead Redemption 2 was big on immersion. I still haven't played Red Dead Redemption 2. It's on my list.
Dude, they're not lying about immersion. That game, oh, dude, just from beginning to end, it's so good. Just the way it plays, the way it controls, it keeps you in there the whole time. And there's so much you can do. I want to say by the time I had finished it, there's something else I think it was on my list to play. So I didn't really go too far into a lot of the extra stuff in the game, but I think there's a whole section of the map that I didn't even go through.
Gotcha.
And then just the way that the story, because it's Red Dead Redemption 2, but it's actually a prequel.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot of really depressing parts in it. It's crazy. Oh, and tuberculosis.
Oh, tuberculosis. Oh. Bad escape. Bad escape right now. All right. Why don't you do the next one?
All right. Let's see here. So Stardew Valley. Gamer Weekly suggested Stardew Valley.
New podcast out by Parallax Media with us, by the way.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
They suggested. I'm sorry. Oh, okay. Yeah. Stardew Valley, Animal Crossing, Dragon Quest XI, and Journey. So Dragon Quest XI, I put 75 hours into that game. I still love that game. Just the extra stuff at the end made me really mad. I'm not going to go into that.
If you do want to go into that, there is a Rowdy's Ruckus Rants on Dragon Quest that includes the time that the plant blew up, the TPC plant blew up down the road from his house, and he had to evacuate.
Yeah, I live about a mile and a half from that place, and it
played the Dragon Quest at the same time.
Yeah,
that was we've had, by the way, since we've started this podcast, the world has gone crazy.
Floods, explosions,
100-year flood. There's second one.
Pandemic.
Explosion, pandemic. There's some other stuff. Snakes in my house. We had a period where there were snakes in my house like all the time.
So the last game they listed is Journey. Now, Journey is a really awesome game, but Journey's only going to last you about 2-3 hours max, and then you've done everything in the game. But it is so it looks so good. Probably one of the best looking games on, was it PlayStation 3? I mean, you could play it on PlayStation 4, but I don't know if it came out before the 4. It's an amazing game. Like there's no spoken dialogue, anything like that in the game. And it's just amazing. Oh, and you could run into other people that are playing the game like while playing it. It doesn't really mess with you or anything like that, but it's pretty awesome, man. I really enjoyed it. I can't really explain the storyline because I don't really know it, but it plays well. It plays awesome.
Yeah, I haven't played it yet. All right, so next one is another one of our friends at Parallax Media, In From Japan podcast. They suggested The Witcher 3. I could see getting lost in that world. You're going to die if you get lost in that world, though. Persona 5, haven't played it, heard lots of good things. Breath of the Wild, we've talked about recently. like just now. Super Mario Odyssey, also played it. And then another Odyssey game, but Assassin's Creed Odyssey. Have you played Assassin's Creed Odyssey?
Not yet. I have it on my computer, like ready to roll.
Mhm.
I just haven't started it yet.
Yeah, it's on the Xbox One, not on Game Pass, but I got it over there.
I
Just haven't gotten to
lied.
it.
I lied. I don't have Odyssey loaded up. I have Origins loaded up. That was the one that took place in Egypt before
Oh.
Odyssey.
I think Odyssey's supposed to have a bigger world that's more accurate to old school Greece. I don't know. I say accurate, and I'm pretty sure there's like, different mythological gods built into the game. So I haven't played it, but I hear good things.
Let's see. Box of content suggests
Hey.
Ori and the Will of the Wisps.
Oh my gosh, yes. Yes.
I say no.
What? What is
I
wrong
played
with you?
I played Ori and the Blind Forest, and I couldn't get into it.
Different. Okay.
No. I
I did the
know.
same thing.
Like it controls a lot different. I have it loaded up. I have it loaded up because of Game Pass, but I haven't tried it yet.
Okay, so Will of the Wisp remind me a whole lot of Hollow Knight.
Yeah, no, that's a bad thing.
I love that.
I love Hollow Knight. It was a great game, but it was so hard.
This game, though, put it on easy. You can put it on easy.
I put
Unlike
everything
Hollow
on
Knight.
easy.
All right. So, anyway, I put it on easy, and I'm having a blast with it. I normally don't. Okay. I really love Guacamelee. I like games that are these kind of Metroidvania games that have really tight controls. This one hits that for me. Now, one thing that is different, though, the presentation is so spectacularly done. If you have a 4K TV with HDR, play this game. It is so gorgeous from a aesthetic perspective. That's a dumb way to say it, too. It's purty. Okay, I'm just using all my art terms. Okay, there's something about it that is really hard to capture. It is animated movie quality art style. It plays really well. There are some slowdowns. I won't lie. There are some places that I've ran into some slowdown. I don't know if it's just because it's just released, and I'm hoping they fix it, but I'm playing it on the 1X, and it runs really well like 95% of the time. Then there's 5% where it's like...
Hey, I'm going to need you to vamp for a little bit. My headphones just went out.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm going to take
I need
over.
you to vamp. Hang on just a second.
Vamping. I don't know what that really means, but I'm going to keep on talking. All right, guys. Next up. Oh, by the way, Box of Content is a local podcast out here in Southeast Texas. Next one, Lamppost Gaming. They are streamers on YouTube. He said that my wife and I are playing through Animal Crossing New Horizons. I'm starting through Doom Eternal tonight live. I've also been playing Death and Taxes. We're all playing Death and Taxes. Hopefully, good news. Taxes have been pushed back a couple months, so hopefully that'll help out some. But I haven't played Doom Eternal yet. Of course, we're playing Animal Crossing right now. The next up is the Jorsh from IndiePod. He is saying Fallout 4 because things with the current reality could be worse. So he's taking an approach that see what really bad things are like. Like right now we are in, some places are in lockdown. Some places are just social distancing. But Fallout 4 is far, far worse than the current reality. And that's what he's trying to say with that one. IndiePod used to be called Indie Incursion. They're also a Parallax Media group. Another one from Sora Invoked 01, Portal, ? So we'll see. Next one is Gamer Weekly Podcast. Man, I forgot. We had all the Parallax Media people jump in. Gamer Weekly is a new... Oh, Gamer Weekly is up above too. They answered a couple times, it looks like. This one's the joke. He said Resident Evil 2 Remake. No, wait. American Truck Simulator.
I would still suggest Resident Evil 2. It's so good.
Yeah. Or you could drive a truck.
Dude, so a lot of people talk about the Trucker Simulator games. I actually almost bought Euro Trucker Simulator just the other day because it was super cheap. And people talk about how just it's relaxing. You just drive around and you just play the game, man. There's really nothing to it.
Shout out real quick to any truckers that listen to us, by the way. Thank y'all for getting supplies out everywhere in the U.S. at the moment. So if you're a trucker, thank you. Next up, or you want to do the next one?
Yeah, man. So let's see.
We just did John the Nerd.
Oh, my bad. John the Nerd. Minecraft. Hell yeah. Always Minecraft, man.
Did you see the... okay, so we're going to be talking about this next episode because it's, the PlayStation 5 had its event. Xbox had its event showing the new console. Well, Xbox actually showed stuff from the new console. PS5 just kind of talked about it. But did you see the ray tracing demo for the new Minecraft?
Yes. I've actually been watching a lot of ray tracing for Minecraft. Back when they released the first update where you could do ray tracing on PC, I mean, there's a whole series that I watch that's based in Minecraft with ray tracing, and it looks so good, man.
It's crazy how good it looks with it. It's just super simple geometry, and then like bump maps and other things put on the textures. It's kind of dumb how good it looks.
You're kind of dumb.
All right. Next one, Console Gaming Crew podcast. Just started playing the Outer Worlds. Really fun world to be in, especially with all the people and creatures you can kill.
It is pretty crazy, man. I love that game.
Oh man, I like the drawings of the anatomy between scenes. They spent so much time. They actually determined like the skeletal structures, the bone, the muscle structure, all endocrine. I think like the endocrine structure on some of the characters.
It gets pretty crazy, man.
It's wild, man. So yeah, that one's definitely a good one. And if you like Fallout New Vegas, go play Outer Worlds.
It's amazing.
All right, what's next on our list?
Gamerheads Network says, just showed a picture of Tom Nook. Enough said.
Yeah, that's all they showed. That's all they sent us.
Yeah.
It was just a picture.
That's it.
Yeah. All right. This one, I'm. What the Famicom? I don't know if he's making a joke. Maybe he's listened to you talk about this game recently, and he's making a joke. But he said Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3.
Look,
he put, I am addicted, call 911.
Marvel Ultimate Alliance. The first two games were absolutely amazing. And this game, it's good. Mm-hmm. It's definitely not 1 and 2, but I don't know, man. I felt there was way too much grindage in it. Mm-hmm. And I don't have time for that, man. A lot of to get a lot of the unlocks, you have to do these side quest things, and they're really hard to do, man.
Yep. All right, next one is... Oh, you want to do the next one? You can talk about this one.
Let's see here. Excellent Movie Adventures podcast says GTA 5. There's so much to do. You could be or do whatever you want. Also, Battle Block Theater. Another awesome game. It's a silly game.
I haven't played that.
And something fun to play with your friends and by yourself. GTA 5, there really is so much you can do in there. You can take it online. And then even just the main part of the game is so huge, man. There's so much story to it. I mean, you have to play over 3 different characters, like back and forth. It's pretty awesome, man. Battle Block Theater, it's made by the people who did, what's that game called? Castle Crashers? Did you ever play that?
I've seen it. I haven't played it.
It's like these little, it's like a kind of a side scroller, little puzzle kind of thing. It's pretty awesome, man. I dig it.
So it reminds me of a game called Boom Blocks whenever I hear that name. Do you remember Boom Blocks?
Dude, Boom Blocks was amazing.
Boom Blocks was awesome. It was on the Wii. It was made by Steven Spielberg, or like produced by him.
Yeah, he helped produce it and stuff.
Nah, they need to bring that back. They need to bring that game back on the Switch. I would buy it. All right. Next up is Two Dungeon Masters podcast. I can't say how much I'm loving the new Doom. I cut my little gaming teeth on the original, and once you feel the flow, it's very zen. It's a good way
I can
to
see that.
Yeah. Zen ripping the heads off of people and poking their eyes out, I guess. Also, I've been loving Call of Duty Warzone, Hunt, Showdown, and Division 2. To escape and dive into a world, though, World of Warcraft or Mass Effect Red Heart?
What is that? Mass
I
Effect Red
don't
Heart.
know. These guys got some interesting choices here. I'm gonna have to reach out and see what the heck these things. I know WoW, I know the other games, but Mass Effect Red Heart. Maybe it's Mass Effect and Red Heart, like two separate things.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. All right, you gonna do the next one?
Bulldogs and Dragons. Of course, Stardew Valley.
Heck
I've
yeah.
lost countless hours caring for virtual sheep and chickens to buy more housing for my sheep and chickens. Definitely lose track of real world playing it.
You got to make new houses for your sheep and chicken. They need to be comfortable. Yes. All right, and let's see. Our last ones are from the Texas, because we're in Texas, subreddit Discord. We had Chris Hates You. Love that name. I have 2 entries for you. Doom Eternal and Animal Crossing. Seeing that from a lot of people. And then Amici, I'm happy to report that Hollow Knight is still kicking my... Hold on, I need a Valiant word for this. Bazo kind of works, but not really. And it's still a great game. I'm finding areas that I missed my first time playing. So both, I would agree with that. I know Rowdy says he's not choosing Hollow Knight as much.
It's a really good game, man. It's just, it got so hard, man.
If you want to play the, Dark Souls, I hate to say this way, the Dark Souls of Metroidvania, that would be Hollow Knight, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much it. We just did that. I just did that. You can blame me.
How dare you?
All right. So, well, that's pretty much all the show we have for today. Hopefully, we gave you a place to escape to. If you like what we're doing, don't forget to subscribe. And we have a whole list of places you can go do that over at www.lamergamers.com/subscribe. Make sure to hit the like button, ring a bell, whatever YouTube makes you to do if you're checking it out over there. You got anything else you want to go over before we end this?
That is it for me today, man.
All right, guys. Thank y'all for checking out the Lamer Gamers podcast. And hopefully this all turns out okay, because we're going to try to include video, and we are not in the same room together. So hopefully the audio is cool, too. Rowdy's a magician, though, so we'll see how it goes. All right, guys. Thank y'all, and have a good day.
Have a nice one, guys.